Hello everyone. I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Day celebration as we gather together with our families to celebrate this beautiful life that was given to us by those troops who sacrificed their lives so that they could give to us a life of liberty and prosperity such as the world has never seen before. Now it is because of that reflection on Memorial Day that I felt especially inspired to share this little video today. Actually should have been the first one because it kind of serves as a primer for everything that we'll be talking about in each of the subsequent videos. I was speaking to a friend about a month ago. It's a man I respect tremendously. He's a veteran, he's a lawyer, he's a good father, so he's an intelligent man, he's a patriot, but he said to me that please don't politicize this coronavirus. Well, if by not politicizing it, he means don't either endorse or poo-poo a potential cure just because you either love or hate the president and he says it might appear promising, then I agree. If he means don't bump the numbers or lower the numbers for political reasons, I also agree. When it comes to the medical aspects of this coronavirus, science should be key. Science means we gather all the information, we test our hypothesis, and we readjust when additional information becomes available. But when it comes to the suspension of fundamental rights, that is not only a political question, it is the question. What is the purpose of government? Is it to make everyone happy, comfortable, and perfectly safe, like a loving parent who makes all the decisions for us to ensure that we are safe? Or are men born free and responsible for their own lives, instituting governments only to handle the most basic functions that we cannot take care of as individuals? Is the government's job to create a utopian society and force those who disagree to go along with their benevolent plans? Or are we born free with certain fundamental rights, and the government's only job is to ensure that no one violates those fundamental rights? It seems to me that for Americans, that question was already answered in 1776. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, and that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Those truths may have been self-evident to the founders, but they are unique in the history of mankind. You see, liberty is a value, not an instinct. What is instinctual to man is the same which is instinctual to all animals, and that is the need for security and safety. Now, before we get to humans, let's just look at our pets. There is that rare pet who yearns for freedom, and if you open a door, he'll run free. But the vast majority, they will never leave because they desire food, shelter, familiarity, and comfort. The great Frederick Douglass is one of those men who yearn for freedom. And his unfortunate experience is that his fellow slaves weren't much different than the pets I just described. Frederick Douglass explained that many slaves would argue over who had the best master, and they took pride in what house they belonged to. And that if you were to wish to run away, you were in as much danger from your fellow slave turning you in as you were from the slaveholders themselves. Now, another irony that you learn from Frederick Douglass' biography is that when conditions are good and you're comfortable, that is when you are most likely to think about things like freedom. When you're most oppressed, it doesn't even cross your mind because you're occupied with survival. This isn't a shocking thing. Years later, many years later, Maslow would describe this psychological condition in his hierarchy. And you see, the Democrat slavers in the 1850s, they got it. That's why they kept the slave oppressed. So they wouldn't think about these grand things. So they wouldn't think about self-actualization. And then they passed this on to the socialists who would follow. The ones who followed are even more ambitious. You see, the Democrats of the 1850s only tried to enslave a small minority, a single race. The socialists today seek to enslave entire nations. And every time socialists have come to power, they promise a utopia. But every time they come to power, they brought nothing but misery. Not including war, poverty, and starvation, which are the hallmarks of every single socialist society. They murdered over 100 million of their own citizens who they considered dissidents. Well, let's go to terms we can more easily relate. It's not coincidence that we have two parties. It's kind of natural. In the most basic unit of government, which is the family, we have a mother and we have a father. Mothers are absolutely essential for the rearing of infants and small children. They care for them. They keep them safe. They attend to their emotional needs, and they comfort them when they're upset. Fathers aren't as essential for babies, but study after study has shown the importance of fathers in creating productive citizens. Mothers coddle. Fathers encourage growth. It is the mother who makes a child wear a bike helmet and use training wheels, who takes them off and pushes them down the hill. The father encouraged scrapes, bumps, and bruises because that is how we grow. That's how we learn, and that is how we become strong. The father's goal is that we become productive and independent. Can we prosper as a nation if we are mommied and coddled, encouraged or even forced to stay home so we never get hurt? Or do we need a father who does protect us from serious threats outside, but mostly says, hey, just don't fight with your sibling and you go ahead and go do your thing. I'm going to cheer you on, but you're going to need to succeed or fail based on your own efforts. I'll catch you if you fall. That's if it's mortal, but you're going to need to pick yourself back up. In other words, are we children or adults? Are we subjects or citizens?